What's up, everybody? Rot Rod here. Wanted to do a final walk around the Yellowjacket Street tracker before I put it away for the winter. As of right now, the battery's still in it, fuel's still in the carburetor, so I'm going to winterize it, I guess, before I take it down and put it away in storage. If you haven't been following along, it is a 72 Yamaha AT2, a 125 enduro bike, and I haven't made any major modifications, but just kind of stripped it down, and always wanted a two-stroke street tracker sort of bike, so that's what I made. The chassis and engine and all are pretty much stock. The clutch it's no good. I was able to run it up and down the street just to a car show and back, and it did okay, but can't really put any power down with the clutch being as bad as it is. The wiring, I just have, it's not very good right now. Eventually the goal is to take the whole thing apart and clean all the dirt off of the frame. I never so much as cleaned it or anything. I just built it, got it running, that was about it. I've got some things to do, like fork seals and some other stuff I need to do before it's really finished, but I got it to a point where I can ride it. The wiring I've got to address. I have anti-gravity, the little guy. It's like an AG401. It's the smallest battery they make, I believe. These things, the AT2 and 3, were actually 12 volt and electric start. I've done away with that on this bike. It's all still there in the engine. I would just have to add the solenoid back in and wire it, but it starts easy enough kick-starting it, so I really don't have a need to add that back in. It allows me to hide the battery up in here. This battery tray I made out of a piece of sheet aluminum, and that gold is just like a heat tape, whatever you want to call it, just to keep heat off of it, mainly from the exhaust. The voltage regulator, I've done away with the OE style and wired in. It's basically for the old GM cars. I've got my Caprice up there. It is a solid state version of that Delco voltage regulator. So yeah, they normally have like a shell on them. I took all that off just to minimize the amount of space it takes up. And once I take care of the wiring, it just looks like, I like how it looks nice and clean. There's nothing there. Let's see what else. The seat is an original pan. A gal I work with covered it for me. So it's got nice new foam, new cover. Just from riding it, the back of it's kind of come loose, but I can mess with that. That's no big deal. The fender, my eventual goal is to make a sort of cowl that goes up and over the hoop, but I'm honestly pretty happy with the way that looks. This is just a Honda enduro bike fender. I want to say CRF 450 something, you get the idea. But it's got the brake light in it. That was a cool way to hide it. And then I'm going to come up with something for a tag bracket that went sort of at an angle back here. Tires are both, I think they're Duro, if I remember right. Yeah, there you go. Duro, original size. It's got a 350/18 in the back. and a 318 up front. But they're both the same Duro, like Trials tread pattern. I wanted to go with a Dunlop, like an actual flat tracker style tire, but these were substantially cheaper, so I went with these. Let's see. Got new sprockets and chain. The original rear sprocket looked like a circular saw blade. It was absolutely no good. So that's been replaced. I got 3 of these bikes all together, if you hadn't seen, and not a single one of them came with a shifter. So this is a Tusk shifter for, I want to say early, like late 90s, early 2000s, YZ125. It went right on there, fits the splines perfectly, and it's not made for it, but lines up pretty good. It clears the case. I'm happy with it. The carburetor is the cheapest compatible Chinese carburetor available, and that air filter, I believe, is for like a scooter. The fuel tank is made by Kelch. It's from like 70s or 80s, universal plastic tank, and my paint is not doing so good. I did not hardly prep it at all. I literally just, I scuffed it, made it fairly smooth, and spray bombed it just for the show that I knew I was going to have to strip it again and actually get some sealer or something on it so it doesn't do this. But the graphics were, I like the way they look on there, but they didn't act the way I wanted them to. But like I said, for the show, it worked pretty good. Literally all I did to the engine was, like I said, I deleted the starting circuit out of it, and I had the other case, side case, off. Took the clutch apart, cleaned it, put it all back together. And I knew it didn't look too healthy, wasn't sure if it was going to live, but it works. So I just rolled with it, wanted to make sure the thing actually ran and would move. So now I don't feel bad if I order a new clutch kit for it. What else? Exhaust. This pipe has no baffle in it, and there was a hole. Somebody broke the bolt for the shield that's normally here, and what they did, since the bolt broke, they just ran a self-tapper straight through it. I just have that bolt jammed in there to keep exhaust leak to a minimum, but as you can see, not really working too well. I could probably tone down the oil mixture a little bit, but I just wanted to make sure, especially with first getting it started, want to make sure it was plenty lubricated and healthy before I got too crazy. Cheapo brake light switch. I don't have anything up front. Originally they would have had a front brake light switch, but whatever. Most of my other bikes don't have a front brake light switch, so I don't miss it. Up here, these are some cheap handlebars that I think I got off of Amazon. Something along those lines. There's a cheap flat tracker style bar. The controls are kind of mismatched. I've got an aftermarket lever over here, and then a whole aftermarket assembly over here. I was going to do something new, but I actually I like them. They work. Look kind of neat. Whatever. I did put an NOS front brake cable on it. The clutch cable is actually in pretty good shape, so I left it. The ignition switch I've moved down here. It's a universal, like, lawnmower style that I have basically just as an on-off, with the key. I don't have anything on the start circuit. No speedometer. Somebody, you can check out the videos when I first got this bike. It had most of the original stuff there, except what somebody had torn off of it to make it a trail bike. They pulled the speedometer cable and plugged the hole, and it had, I believe this one had the ignition switch and the tack. They just did away with the speedometer. No lights or anything. Somebody just made a cool trail rig out of it. I have a number plate here. It's pretty rough around the edges, literally. I have it zip tied in place temporarily. This is all made of a metal sign. There's a piece of it there next to that spray paint can. The brackets are made out of the sign. I just spray bombed them so they weren't as obvious. And for the headlight, I have this guy down here, a little crooked. Like I said, I've got some changes to make, some things to fix. But the headlight is for some sort of e-bike. I used the switch that came with it and that plug, and then it would normally just plug right into whatever it's designed for. I cut that and have it hardwired. But that way, the switch is there. If I need to replace the light or move it or whatever, I can unplug it as I need. Got Pro Taper grips. This is a universal cheap throttle assembly. I've deleted the oil pump on this one. The one on this engine was locked up. I really didn't like the looks of it. Yes, they're rebuildable. It's a good system. It works. But for this bike, aesthetically, I wanted nothing there. Didn't want to have to worry about hiding an oil tank somewhere. So, for this bike, I just did away with it. I get people make this huge argument on either side, really. This is what I wanted to do, so I did it. Whatever. Sue me. Don't actually sue me, but you get the idea. Yeah. Nice Pro Taper grips. I got my matching Pro Taper keychain. I've got to keep some sort of identifying mark on my keys or keychain so I know what it belongs to. But yeah, there she is. The thing should start up and run. I have other videos of it running. I won't. Honestly, don't really feel like bothering to set the phone up right now, but that's where the build stands right now. Like I said, I'm getting ready either today or tomorrow morning. Gonna take it down, put it into storage, and see what paint melts off of the tank and so on and so forth. But that's pretty much how it's going to be. Just kind of clean it up, finish it up, make it a little nicer, replace fork seals that it desperately needs. You can see all of the fork tube look like this. There's probably no oil in those forks whatsoever. Suspension is a little soft, but I'm super happy with the bike. I love the progress I've made with it. I really like this bike. It's one that I've had a bunch of these Enduros over the years, especially like shortly after I graduated high school, started messing with them, and I always wanted basically this bike. I wanted a two-stroke street tracker sort of vibe, yellow like the Kenny Roberts livery on it. The car show that I actually rode this to was a trunk or treat, I took this old helmet, painted it up, and wore that. Had it matching the bike and everything. It was cool. But hopefully over the winter I can get this thing legal and actually be able to like ride it to work and that sort of thing. But we'll see. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy. If there's anything in particular you want to see on it, let me know. There's probably going to be a lull in the videos for a while as it's cold. Not too bad today, but winter's on its way. I won't be able to do as much outside, so if I can get some progress done on the C10 maybe inside, I'll update you on that. But for now, thank y'all for watching. We'll catch you next time.